Okay, we should be okay now. All right, so based on what I'm seeing, all right, so I'm sure I've sorted out. Okay, thank you very much. Right, so I guess we are still awaiting our guest. He's having some technical glitches, so I'm trying to assist him to see how best we can get him very early. Let me say to you, though, my people, if for any reason that he's unable to come on this platform, I will switch over to another one just in order to get him on live. So please do understand. And if that is so, I will not be able to send out a link. So all you have to do is just go back to the Saudichress channel and you click on the live link. All right. Just bear that in mind in that way that we can have our guests coming on. He's trying his best. I think I'm not sure if it is fully internet issue or it is a compatible issue with his device. He has been trying, and so I was trying to assist him where that is concerned. So just bear with us. We will get it right. Doesn't matter what. I'm sure we will get it right tonight. So again, people, welcome to the Saudichress Show. If this is your very first time, I want to give you a special welcome to this another episode of the Saudichress Show. And as you know, um, please subscribe in order to for you to participate in the live chat, and so we'll be able to read your messages and answer your questions and queries, ladies and gentlemen. So for those who have always been here with me, thank you very much for continue to stay with us. And you know the way out, so you must continue to like and share the Saudicrest video. We are, you know, in a very good position. We want to reach our 600 subscribers. Um, Hopefully, we can do that tonight. And we are what now? 582. So just another 18 people. I'm sure that we should be getting some new viewers tonight. Hopefully, that we will reach there. But you know what to do. You can assist us. You know exactly to share with your friends, your colleagues, your contacts, and so they'll be able to join the Saudicress show, ladies and gentlemen. Still not hearing much from Mr. Drummond, but as you know, we still expect him just to give us a few. Okay, um, seems like no. Uh, Okay, that's not him. Photograph. Just a minute, people. Let me check out here. Okay, so you must continue as Mr. Drummond then. Hold on, people. I'm just trying to assist him. All right, so he's coming in. Wow. Okay, so people, just a minute. I'm still getting through. Trying to assist. So, like he's now in studio. Yes. All right. So he is in studio. Mr. Drummond, can you hear me? Yes, sir. Good night. I'm seeing you, Mr. Drummond. I don't know if you are seeing me.
All right. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night, wherever you are. How you doing? You hearing me?
happy, happy, loud and clear, man. I'm happy to have you here. Happy to have you here. Seems like you're having some internet issues, though. All right. So, people, again, thank you for waiting. He's trying his very best, and I'm sure that he will be coming back in. Oh, Lord. What's up now? Got boot out again. All right. All right. So, please rejoin, sir. We are very patient and we are expecting to have you. All right, people. So you see, you understand. Sometimes these things do happen, unfortunately, and we are trying our best to get the better of the technology, you know. And so hopefully he will. I tell you, people, this world is not an easy one at all. I'm telling you the truth. And let me just be honest with you. As many of you know, I'm still learning. I am still learning, and so that is the nature of how things are. You know, when let's say you're a rookie, so to speak. But guess what? That doesn't give us or give me any reason to having these issues. But that's how it is. We try to go or try to do the right things as we go. It's not like we are live in studio per se, but it's online. So here we have Mr. Drummond with us again. And yes, sir, Drummond. Mr. Drummond.
Yeah. Good night. How you doing? You hearing me?
Loud and clear, loud and clear. You hearing us quite well? You hearing me?
Not hearing you. Let me
Not hearing me.
maybe I have to rejoin in a few. Let me check on the internet and see
All right.
if I can rejoin you in a few.
I'm hearing you loud and clear though. Don't know why you're not hearing me. All right, so we continue, people. Try to ensure that Mr. Drummond is getting it right. So while he tries his best to negotiate the issues that he's having, as you know, people, this is the Saudichress show. Tonight, again, I say to you, welcome, welcome, welcome. We want to get off to a smooth start. However, it's not so, but he's in and around the studio, so he will join us very, very soon. And if say please, if you look at the lower part of the screen, you will see, of course, the numbers running across. So again, just you can WhatsApp call at 876-501-6625, or put your queries, your questions in the chat, so to speak. Well, our big broad topic, people, in Jamaica, the teachers are very, very uncomfortable with the wage negotiation, and by such, they have staged a number of strikes right across the country as it relates to showing the government. And based on what I have been hearing, some people are saying that the JTA themselves, they are showing with them that they are also uncomfortable with what is going on, so to speak. So just bear with us. We will get Mr. Jomans to discuss that. Try try his very, very, very best. All right, Taj, big up yourself, Tajan, and Damid, respect. You may have to use the call feature. Him and the problem continues. Well, tell you the truth, Damien, I am willing to take it. I'm willing to even go off to use another platform in order for him to get on. Maybe, I don't sure, but people like to see who is actually talking. And I'm agree with you. This is a show. This is a live TV show, and I do understand. I will hope that the viewers would call to share their views, and Mr. Jomans will be here life. So as we speak, we are saying that the teachers are very, very uncomfortable with the wage feed. I'm not sure, and to be honest with you, based on what I have gathered, not all teachers, so to speak. And why I said not all teachers, the fact that it's a level thing, it's some levels of the teaching profession who are uncomfortable based on what they are seeing, are expecting on their reclassification or realignment. They are uncomfortable to which scale that they have started on, and that's where it is. Today, it we have the JTA would have actually hosted a forum for the delegates to come in and sign. Yes, for the delegates to come in and sign if they approve or accept or not accept the wage offer by the government. That was the plan today. From all indication, what I was told is that majority or more than 50% of the delegates actually rejected the offer from the government. And we can understand based on the widespread strike that we have seen over the past couple of days, they have rejected it. So people, remember, when you come in, just hit the like button, and so we continue. It's very, very important that you like the video. If this is your first time, please subscribe and send me your message through the chat, you know, so we can respond to them. I'm sure that Mr. Drummond will be here. He will be here. He's in and around. And you know how, as I said, the technology go. My sincere apology to you as well. So, based on that, just don't want to preempt anything that Mr. Drummond would like to offer to us tonight. And I've seen him like he's here in a different mode. Yeah, man, he even look brighter than the very first time. No, no, I'm sure you're here, Mr. Drummond.
Yeah, sometimes when you're in the country, good night, all your viewers of this podcast. Sometimes when you're in the country, the important thing about the COVID dispensation is
Yes.
that it allows you to be so dynamic in your utterances that you can go almost anywhere in your yard and get it.
Hey, let me tell you, man, that is how it is. And, we happy for this platform. We happy for the online, the virtual platform.
Virtual platform, man.
It has done so much good to Jamaicans and people by extension in the world. We for the longest while we were enjoying using WhatsApp, Facebook, and so on, and not realizing how much we could use the very same WhatsApp and Facebook things to
To
do.
do.
You get what I'm saying? And but let me, sir, let me welcome you. Thank you very much for joining the Saudichress show, and of course the family. We would like to bless you up. This is the Saudichress show. I thought I've heard you say that you have viewers already. I'm not sure how much of our podcast you have looked at, but maybe because of your interests earlier, as a sportsman, you probably would have seen those streams.
Yeah, man. I've watched a couple of episodes. I can remember one in particular. I'm not sure. It was a very popular football coach on it, so it drew our interest. So it's not I gravitated toward it. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes.
but
I understand.
let me just say to you, Mr. Wittig, that if the viewers hear any unnecessary sound, it might be some alarms are outside, because the dogs are very close to me now. So that's added protection.
And let me tell you, sir, I have been that. I remember my very first podcast. I have a number of alarms. And so trust me, it's really funny. And I tell people, when you're in the country, these sounds that we hear sometimes, they have a very, very important role to play in our lives.
Quite
But
so.
that's the nature of it. And sir, we started a bit late, but I'm happy that you are here. And as customary on the Saudichress show, I don't like to introduce my guests too much because especially the guests that we have here are some very popular persons, some persons who wear many hats, and so I don't want to miss out any of the accolades that you have or of the status. So, in short, can you give us your profile a little? to talk about yourself. Give us a short profile of who Godfrey Drummond is.
Well, my name is Godfrey Drummond. I'm a senior teacher at Petersfield Primary, senior teacher 3. I've been in the education profession for the past 21 years. I'm an advocate for change. I believe in people, and I am held to that very, very highly. I'm also a coach. I'm a CONCACAF C license coach. I actually hold a FIFA level 2, advanced level 2 coaching certificate in football. Um, I was trained, among other places, at GC Foster College. And I, since that, I've drawn an affinity towards all outdoor activities. And I think that that is something that has been, I'm blessed with, because I get to impact a lot of youngsters who, under normal circumstances, would have had a different route into, a pathway towards life. Um, Having said that, I'm an educator. I'm also a family person. My son, who is listening, by the way, is all the way at the University of South Carolina, um,
Wow.
doing a degree and playing football up there. You know, uh, I'm actually, I could tell you a whole lot more, but the program is really about you.
No,
And, just,
absolutely not. This
just to
program
say
is.
though that, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I ran for the post of the presidency of the Jamaica Teachers Association, because I think that there were deviances between the rank and file members of the association and the regular classroom teachers. And as such, I took up the mantle, and I just want to express gratitude to those 997 teachers who voted for me. I lost by 1,000 at vote, but I mean, you would know that I lost, because whenever it is that I go into any forum of whatever sort, I stood and I stand, and I will be standing strong enough to defend those teachers who defended me at that time.
Well, I'm sure so you have more than those 900 and odd teachers to stand for, to talk for tonight, because based on what we have been, experiencing in our own Jamaica land we love over the past couple of days as it relates to teachers and more so the education system. There's so much going on. But, we really want to look at the aspect of what's happening today. But before you go, you made mention of the presidential, contest that you were engaged in. Have you found out why you think you failed the bid to that president-elect position?
I would say I failed. You enter contest and you win some and you learn. I think I
Okay.
learned a lot along the way. It was an unprecedented time. It was a COVID time. We were not afforded the opportunity of traveling. We were not afforded the opportunity of campaigning or canvassing. And so a lot of
Okay.
my interactions were through online modalities. And you know how the online modalities are, and especially with me being out in the West, in the rural areas, and sometimes we had, just like we had earlier, internet challenges and so forth. And so
Yes.
I was not able to reach a lot of the constituent. But those who have gotten through to and have had the dialogue with, they
Yes.
gravitated toward my candidacy because they understood what I stood for. And one of the things that was banded by was that I was really, really bashing principals and bashing vice principals. I applied on 2 occasions for the job of principals. So it couldn't be that I'm bashing something that I aspired to. It was just that it was not my time, but I see what is happening at the regular classroom level, and I thought that there was much more to be done and much more to be had at that level, and so I offered myself as a candidate.
Okay. Are you still interested in going for that position?
Yes, I'm interested, but at the same time, I'm cautious about going in, because what we are seeing now happening at the Jamaica Teachers Association and in education is as a result of what I wanted to stamp out at that time. Um, we will delve a little bit deeper in what I just insinuated, but a lot of half truths, a lot of innuendos, a lot of I would say lies have been told. And the truth is that the regular classroom teachers need to know what is happening in the educational sector.
Okay. And of course, sir, let me tell you, education by itself is a very one of the largest sector I believe in Jamaica, and this is the sector that all of us are expecting to lead our country. So when you reach a leadership role, when you are at a point to defend the teachers of this very unique island, I must say to you, you had made a very brave step and the one that is deserving. So I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. We all can't win, so I do expect, we don't feel away when we lose at time, because that's sometimes a setback to say, listen, you need to go in that direction or maybe that direction. So it's not so much of a bad thing, and it's an organization for all of us.
I must warn you though, Semitic, that our viewers need to understand another disclaimer that the views expressed here are not necessarily those of the Saudichress show, but
All
I
right, sir.
reserve the opinion and facts to back up whatever it is that I have to say.
No problem, man. No problem. We try here on the Saudichress show to put the information out to people. We want people to learn and to understand what's happening. We are not in the business of bantering or bashing anybody, but just the fact that we want to take it out there in a respectable manner. That is how it is. That is life. And people have to understand that every single one of us have our way to go. Good night. Good night. Let me just pick up the few persons in the chat right now. There are more persons on the chat on the platform, but not giving up their chat. But people, I beg of you to say something in the chat so I can acknowledge you. So big up yourself, Tajan. Damien, big up yourself. You are always here and continue to bless up the Saudichress show. Yes. Oh my God, I having always have the Travis. Big up yourself. Big up Godfrey. Lenky Rai, Joma. Your name Lenky Rai, too, man?
Yeah, man, I was a very thin child growing up in high school. So if you see me now and I deviated from that demeanor, it means that life is good.
Can't be much better, eh? I'm happy for that. So yes, so big up yourself, members. And as I say, once you are here, just subscribe and come on the chat so I can acknowledge you. I just don't want you to sit in your comfort of your living room suit or even in your bed and listening. You need to participate. And even if you are not saying much, I would like to acknowledge you. We like to know that you are here. Sergio man, what's your take on the present negotiation between the Jamaica Teachers Association and the government of Jamaica?
All right, let me start by setting the platform for the discussion. We are
Yes.
not in a negotiation. The Jamaica Teachers Association and the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Education, we are not in a negotiation. We are not in a negotiating cycle. I'm going to show you a document, and this document was from 2007. It says Teacher Hang Tough, 2017, right? I can show you my picture on it, but I'll try
Yes.
not to. that was from 5 years ago.
I'm gonna try and bring up that one later on so the people
That,
them can see.
that was when the government decided that we are going to enter a 4 years wage deal with our teachers.
Yes.
What we did after the 4 years wage deal last year, we were supposed to go back to the bargaining table with the government. The government begged of us, beseech of us that they are going to restructure the public service, right? And so they are going to reclassify and rationalize the public sector. So they asked us to take a 4% wage increase for last year. The wage increase would have ended on March 31st, 2022. It means that we are taking a deal until they rationalize. Our interpretation of rationalizing and reclassifying was supposed to be that we are going to be put in a class with people of similar qualifications and certifications, right?
Okay.
Now, let me go back to 2008 when we had our last reclassification, when teachers were pegged back at 80% at market value. The Minister of Finance then, the Honorable Audley Shaw, the Ministers of Finance, it was Audley Shaw, Arthur Williams, and Dan Webby at that time, used to peg us back. Three things. One, it said that teachers are given paid holidays. Right? So the fact that we got a summer of 2 months and we never have much to do, it means that they could give us 80% of what our counterparts in other sectors were getting.
Okay.
The second thing that they use are teachers were not paying their pensions. The government was paying the pension for us. So they said, since the government is paying our pension, they can't pay us at the value at the other public sectors. Right? And something else. But there are three things that they used to held us at 80%. Now, what has happened since then? One, the paid holiday has gone through the door. So we have to work during the summer. We are on call. We are at workshops right through. The last 5 years, we have not gotten summer for ourselves. We have not gotten Christmas. The last Christmas holiday, the Minister of Finance had to review it. The Minister of Education had to review it because we were given 10 days for the Christmas holiday.
Wow.
We were supposed to have started back school the 3rd of January, and it was through bantering from the ministry and from the Jamaica Teachers Association why they rescinded and extended it to the 9th to give us 7 additional days. So I said this to say that the understanding from us as professionals is that all of us with our masters would be placed in similar category. Everyone with a first degree would be placed in a similar category. Those with diploma, it doesn't matter which sector of the workforce you find yourself in. The fact that all of us, they are reclassifying the public sector, it means that all persons with similar qualification will be paid accordingly. Now, what they have done, when you look at the bands that the teachers have been placed in, when you look at the bands that other persons with similar or even lesser qualifications have been placed in, the teachers fall at the bottom of the scale. And I can use as empirical data 3 different sectors: the nurses, the fire department, and those work at the port authorities. So a teacher with a master's degree and someone who works at the port with a master's degree, there's a differential pay of almost 80,000 per month between those in education who doesn't have a post of special responsibility and those who are working at the wharf, at the ports.
So,
Right?
so question there. Sorry to break you
Come
into that.
on.
That 80,000 you're talking about additional, is that net or gross?
I think it's net because all the calculations that we got from the Jamaica Teachers Association through the Salaries and Finance Committee, the salaries and conditions of service who are negotiating on our behalf, showed net. They said that those are net increases. I go further. Yesterday, in the minister budget presentation, he threw some numbers out. And I am scared of persons who are vitriolic because they use word to test and play on the conscience of the general public who doesn't understand. So he says that the teachers, he has 12 billion set aside to pay teachers retroactive, right? He has 600 million to pay the police officers. He has, I think, 1 billion to pay district constables. But it sounds so, grandeur to say 12 billion have been put aside for teachers. But 12 billion divided by 26,000 teachers. And we are just establishing the fact that all teachers are paid equally. If you divide 12 billion by 26,000 teachers, we will get a little over $460,000 as our retroactive. Good? Now, if you take away 148,000 for income tax, which they are going to tax it, the teachers are left with a little over 312,000. If you take away other statutory deductions from that, it tells you where the teachers are. So it looked like a big figure. Now, bear in mind that 12 billion, it's not going to be distributed equally among all teachers because people with posts of special responsibilities, vice principal, work study coordinators, guidance counselors will be paid a little higher. So what we're saying, the band of teacher that anchors the workforce, the classroom teachers, the subject teachers, the teachers who interact daily with the student without posts of special responsibilities, these teachers are worse off or will be worse off when you check they have been banded with something like a 20,000, between 20 to 24,000 per month differential that will be added to the salary.
Mhm.
But and then they said that for the next financial year, which starts ironically on the 1st of April. I don't know why they started on the 1st of April because that's All Fools Day. I don't know why, but for this next salary negotiation, they said we're going to get 35%. No, it's 35% take away the 20% that we'll be given for year one. So additionally, we're going to be given 15% for next year, next financial year. And then for 2024, we're going to be given just about 9 or 10%. Right? Now, if you check inflation, that is hovering just about 11% there or thereabout, right? And the minister, I mean, he was loud and very, very raucous in the applause because he's saying the economy has recovered even without, before pre-COVID, I mean, standards. It means that the economy can facilitate the payment of teachers. The teachers are not asking for much. The teachers are saying, listen to me, if you are paying the firefighter, you are paying the nurses, you are paying the person at the wharves for whatever reason, start us at 3 million per year. That's all the trained
Teachers
graduates
are
are saying.
saying.
Just start us at 3 million. Meet us at 3 million. We want a 3.5, but we'll keep 3 million as a starter.
So,
And
so
you are telling me that the government cannot offer just about, I mean, maybe 500,000 different, man. It is really, it's a travesty to our teachers.
so all right. Mr. Drummond, $3 million for a start. Which category of nurse are the nurses are in that band?
RN2.
RN2
RN2 starts at 3.
start at three.
Yes.
And is that the lowest band?
No, there are RN1, and but I'm just looking at teachers and the nurses with similar
That
qualification. Because
qualification.
what they have done, they have lumped all the teachers together. So those with a first degree and a second degree are lumped in one band. There's what we want is what we wanted was to move a tier up. But we understand how the government operates. If they move us a tier up, then those that are a tier higher will move a tier up, and it would look as if we are being unreasonable. So we are saying keep us at band 5, keep us at band 4, don't move up to band 5, but bring up the band to 3 million for starters. I think that is a genuine ask.
The truth of the matter is, in negotiation, as I was told and learned as well, that the government don't want to pay anything. Fine. Now, you make mention of the recovery of the economy from the finance minister. Yes, but in reality, as it relates to expenditure and, running a budget and expenses, so to speak, not every money can spend wherever you want it to spend. So we have to be budgeted in a particular way. So maybe even though the economy has recovered, maybe it is not looked towards paying civil servants. But just that as a point though. Now, what you have just explained to us, the teachers are saying they will not accept anything below $3 million as a start. That's what you're saying.
That's the general consensus among those persons in the trained grad category.
Okay. Now, sir, again, you are speaking as Mr. Jobbins, not as a member of the JTA. You're speaking as, so you're in that band of teachers now who believe that you're for it. So you're passionate about that. Now, the question now, sir, we have seen, is it 2 or 3 days of strikes? My surprise, my surprise is that why is it that the strike comes 2 days, a day, or even the same day when the JTA has scheduled a meeting or a election or voting situation where the um, the delegates of the JTA would have voted to accept or not to accept. Is it is
Go
is
ahead.
is this really a good ploy from the teachers who are upset to strike?
I don't think it's a good ploy, and neither do I think it's a bad ploy. Let me tell you what is happening, though, Mr. Wittig.
Mm,
based on my understanding and from where I sit, because I am on general counsel, and I can tell you, the, I want to craft my words as carefully as possible. The hierarchy of the Jamaica Teachers Association, the JTA,
Yes.
is politically driven. Whichever way you want to put it, it's politically driven. Now, there are dissidents in the hierarchy that are saying, accept. Why? The government made a counteroffer on the 3rd of February when we went to Woolmers to say, listen, we're going to move the principal from primary 1 to band 9. We suspect it is because the president, the current president, teaches is a principal of a primary 1 school. Hear me out. Nothing that the government did as a counteroffer impacted the group of teachers who are having the challenge. Nothing. But they wanted to remove senior teachers, the post. They said they wanted to fall by attrition. We get them to put that back. Persons who are doing their masters, we normally get 4 increments. Now the government said, no, we can't give you 4, we'll give you 1, but we won't pay you until 2024. No, we can't take the word for that, right? If the economy is booming, there's an incentive to self-actualize, right? And we want our best from our teachers for our students. And if a teacher decides that he or she wants to upgrade himself to do his master's or PhD or whatever it is, I think it is only reasonable to incentivize these teachers and let them understand that, listen to me, we appreciate you doing this for nation building, right? The government seems to want to get rid of that. And we say that's a don't-stop mentality, right? Every teacher, we know happy cow gives the most milk. So if you make your teachers happy, then you'll get good returns. At the moment, the people who are having protest action, these are the people who are feeling the brunt of the responsibility, are feeling the brunt of what is happening, right? Inflation has been eating out. If you ask any teacher, no, who is ambitious and is driven, they live from loan to loan, right? So if a teacher has 2 children in school or going to university, the opportunity does not exist for that teacher to say, let us save some money and send the child to school. Because let me tell you, when I did my degree, I paid a little over 300,000. When a couple of years after that, when I went back to GC Foster, the same degree that I did 2 years for 300,000 reached 700,000. Just within 2 years, right? And it is about self-actualizing, right? Because I don't think I've recovered the money that I've spent.
Well, I never really wanted to cut to that, but that one strike me right now. Not the strike like what teachers are doing, but you're saying to me that for a degree, a first degree course,
yeah, man,
that is now being offered at GC Foster College.
Yeah, man.
It's over $700,000.
Yes, man. Ask anybody, man. It is. And I can tell them when I went to do my diploma at GC Foster, I walk with the money in my pocket and pay my school fee the first year.
You did rich?
It was a little over 28,000.
You was a rich man.
No, and I wasn't rich. But I could afford education then. In 2006, I was a part of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students who almost locked down the country, And it was not political. Because there was a thing that they call a general agreement for tariff and services, the GATS agreement. And they wanted to remove that from the tertiary students to say, listen to me, the government is paying 70% and you pay 30%. But they wanted to remove it for us to pay the entire. I would say, no, that can't happen. So I understand what it is to negotiate with the government. I understand what it is to go through the nook and crannies and the fine point of negotiating. So I am saying, though, that our teachers has lost I would say respect, but I would say the teachers have lost the confidence of the Jamaica Teachers Association. I mean, negotiating on their behalf. And as such, that is why we're seeing these sporadic industrial actions taking place, because the teachers, if the teachers have gotten the confidence of these people that, listen, they have my interest at hand, then like we have always done, we'd have left it up to them. I go back to this I
Hold the
go back
point.
to
Hold
this.
that point right there, sir. Hold that point. Let me just take a few from the chat because just for you, Mr. Jobans, you're a very hard speaker. Hard spoken general from the Jamaica Teachers Association, our own teachers here in Jamaica, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's just acknowledge those who came on in the chat. So Lascelles Thompson, aka Bongo, bless up. Good night to the host, guests, and viewers of the Saudichress show. Bug up yourself, Bongo. Mr. Lee, good night, everyone. Good night to you, Sir Lee. R. Boy, I can understand how my class monitor gets so late all these days, Teachers need to get this the best package or the best packages. Thumbs up for that, my boss. Much respect. That is so true. Are again teaching no a high risk job. My God, look at that. High risk in terms of earnings or safety. Mr. Lee, good night. Good topic, good topic, good topic. That's what Mr. Lee is saying. All right. So you know the Side Quest show tend to carry these topics for every single one of us to get through. All right. So Laverne Brown. Good night, Miss Brown. Big up yourself. Miss Laverne Brown is one of my own teachers coming from Mount Trassa Primary and Infant School. Big up yourself to all the Mount Trassa family. Good night again, Miss Brown. All right. So, yes, sir, as you were saying, no.
I was about to say that I bring this as a point of reference again,
Mhm.
right? It says teachers hang tough. No, I remember this very, very day like yesterday. After having after having gone to a special conference,
Yes.
and I'm going to quote. This is from the Gleaner. All right.
Go ahead.
313 teachers voted to reject the offer. 37 said yes. And would you believe that? Having left Kingston, drove all the way to Westmoreland. You know that take maybe 4 hours. I was really tired. I slept. The next morning, this Saturday, it was a Sunday morning. We saw this headline that teachers hung up. By Monday, the teachers voted to give executive power to the general executive of the Jamaica Teachers Association to go back to the government and to make a decision. And the teachers who gave the executive power to the general executive were left crying because the general executive took a deal when teachers said no, 313 to 37. No. In February at the special conference, it was overwhelming. It was 580 560 had voted to reject, 24 voted to accept. Today, 346 voted and said, no, we don't want it. 227 says yes. So what we are seeing is that they're the breaking down of the guard. But let me tell you what happens. And I mean, I might be wrong, but I stand corrected. There are delegates, there are fractions of the JTA who is calling around the delegates to say, vote and take the offer so that we can get back money. All because their package looks a little bit more attractive than the regular teacher's package. Some of these are your colleague principals who would have said, yes, man, then tap up me. The guidance counselors would have said, yeah, man, me get a little tap up. But what happened to the belly of the school, the heart of the school, the subject teachers, the class teachers, right?
But
Who doesn't have post of special responsibility to subsidize their earning, and who doesn't have a second job or a husband or a spouse to subsidize their earning.
hold on a second. Let me ask you this question. I really want to be sure on this one. Are you saying the band of teachers, those trained graduates, will be worse off than where they are now?
And let me use real terms. $20,000 or $22,000 difference on your salary. No, as you speak,
Yes.
will put you probably worse off than you are because the value of money. And let me tell you why. These monies should have been paid to us from April last year. If you buy a pound of rice last year and it cost $80, come this year, the rice will be $85 or $90. So it means that the money that you have from me from last year has devalued. And that's the general consensus of the value of money. So the value of money last year is different from the value of money this year. And that is what impacts inflation. I can tell you my light bill from last year, and I can tell you my light bill this year. And if it is to go by a similar trajectory, I can predict my light bill come next year. Now, I am saying that if the teachers, and let me tell you, let me do the calculation for you, right? And you can do it for yourself. And I know the viewers are bright and articulate. Good? So, I'm going to show you the calculation.
Yes.
It's $3 million, right? Divide that by 12 months, right? It's just about 250,000, you know. It's just about 250,000. Now, listen. If you can't pay, and when you take out statutories from that, I mean, not much left, but if you can't pay your teachers so that they can feel good about themselves, the exodus that we have the year before and the exodus that we had last September will have a greater exodus of teachers come this September. I suspect too that some of the teachers who sign off and said yes are some of the teachers who have actually made their minds up. So either they are going on a program or they don't care about what is happening. So some are just interested in getting their back money that you owe, so that because they would have made their decision a long time ago to know that, listen to me, I sign up. I have about 4 teachers at my school who say, listen to me, let me get my money, you know. I when me talk to them, I say, Drummond, you're rough and me tough, but me don't make up my mind already. Me sign up with Faces, me sign up with TIF, so me just want my money. And I feel it for those teachers, because not all the teachers who left Jamaica want to leave Jamaica, you know. Many of them would prefer to be here. Many of them would prefer to be here and know that their families are okay. They are not displaced. But from an economic standpoint, they are coerced. They are forced to leave. And when they leave, I mean, it might be that they are working in a worse condition, but at least the remuneration from their jobs is able to clear their bills and give them a freedom of mind, so that they can rest assured that their bills are okay, their families are okay, and they can eat and save. If that is afforded, and that's what the teachers are asking, if that is afforded unto most teachers in Jamaica, I don't think we'll have an exodus. As a matter of fact, I think we'll find teachers coming back to Jamaica to work.
You know, you make a point a while ago, Sir Drummond. You know, I never wanted to break you in your explanation. But let me tell you this. The fact of the matter, what you explained about where we are at now, in terms of what we are getting, and that $20,000 would have been devalued from last year to now. I strongly believe if that is the point that our teachers, our JTA persons who are negotiating on our behalf are saying, I think this would be the just thing to talk about. Because it's when we talk about this percentage, the fact that 30%, 20% are wherever, that doesn't make much sense. Because nobody speak about the percentage of inflation when they are doing negotiation. So what you have mentioned about your light bill from last year compared to this year and the projection of next year, then that is the argument that I believe we should really put towards the government to say, listen, you need to deal with us on this matter, because it doesn't matter if you think we get $40,000 in a bus. As what you mentioned, $40,000, what was owed to us from last year, probably mean $10,000 this year. So that is the point. You know, and while I agree why people say we need to start at 3 because the nurses are in 2 are at that, fine. But this one that you mentioned, the example that you use, I believe hold more water than anything else.
I mean, concur with you, but let me tell you what I think too. Teachers are made are believed to be anti-government or unjust. But I don't try to make my house the biggest house in the community by breaking down other people's house. I want to build it big. I don't for one moment think the nurse deserve any less. Anything that the nurse get, I think the nurse deserve more. But I am saying that two persons in a relationship, a nurse and a teacher, and they went through qualification or whatever. When you look at what the nurse gets for similar qualification in comparison to what the teacher gets, it's really a slap in the face. And I'll tell you why. And I suspect, as I read a lot, I
Yes.
suspect that coming out of a pandemic, a global pandemic, where emphasis is placed on healthcare, countries are forced, coerced, shoved actually to get their medical personnel at a higher pay package than other public sector. And I believe in that because we are coming out of a pandemic. But the true value of education is not immediate. And that's the point that they say. So they'll see sick people in the hospital and if 5 nurses walk out of the hospital, maybe one die. But if 10 teachers walk out of the school, nobody dies. But the impact that this will have 4 years down the road when you
Great.
can't open your door because of ignorance and illiteracy, it is going to be more far reaching, right? We put some policies, and I'm not even going to touch the policy because, as I tell you, we are not in a salary negotiation. We're not in a negotiation here. It is reclassification. But every now and again, we see a flare up of what is happening in schools, fights, wars, this and that. We are in a system where teachers are now so demotivated that the basic conflict resolution skill is not even employed because teacher decide to listen to me. Me not intervene, I'm not get paid for that. And it is simple because when teachers look at what is granted unto them and they look at deans of discipline who came in just about 5 or 6 years ago as special post. And because of the way in which they were engaged, they were paid similar to vice principals. It just demotivate you as a teacher to say, listen to me, I'm not even involved. Those teachers who have the children at heart, have the country at heart, have the community, have education at heart, those are the ones that we are seeing going out day in, day out. And whilst I don't support, protest action, because I believe in the rule of law, that once we are negotiating, we're not going to protest. So once the protest starter, once you don't give me what I want, that is the time I'm going to act. But
Okay.
while you talk about it, while we're
Mm.
talking about it, I'll listen, I'll
Let's
give you a point, you give me a counterpoint, and we work out an amicable solution. But what has happened is that, you see, utterances is what really drive the nation. Sometimes we don't understand the way in which terms and terminologies are used. So, when the minister spoke in the third supplementary estimate of expenditure, and some teachers don't understand the term neither. You just put in a projection and say, this is what me I going to spend over a period of time.
Yes.
Right? When he spoke, he said that money is there for the teachers, and if the teachers fail to take it, they won't be paid until April of 2024.
Sir,
It
hold that
pressed.
point. Hold that point for me, sir, because that's another point which is very serious, and I need clarity on that, and I'm sure our viewers need. But let us just take back a few from the chat. So, yes, I asked RR the question, what do you mean by risky job? So he said that bad behaving kids, high risk. I tell you, that's another story, RR. I can tell you. Ishka Francis, good night, man. Amen, Mr. Drummond. So that's what Ishka is saying. Ishka is so go ahead to say, can teachers be separated from principals as it relates to representation from the JTA? That may have another story, Ishka, because all of us are teachers, whether you're a principal, or whatever the case is, seeing that you're a teacher. So maybe Mr. Jomans can talk about that when he comes back in. But good. RR need to pay teachers in US dollars. So if the dollar slide, it don't hit too hard. What a wonderful point, Mr. RR. I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and talk to the finance minister. Miss Roma Francis, good night, Saudi and Mr. Drummond. Our teachers are not united. Hence, JTA feels they can do as they like in negotiating for them. Oh boy, strong one, and you have a point. Uh, Anika Dunswell Williams. I'm sure that name is coming from the West. Sounds like a West name. The money value that you speak of, Sir Joman, is facts. Quite true. Quite true. Roma again. Real talk, Godfrey. I can tell you, sir, you have been hitting the nails on the head so far. Yes, RNR. I can tell you, big up yourself. Pleasant night to Mr. Sadi and your guest. Respect my boss. You don't know Mr. Horace coming out of Canada. Yes, Sir Joman. So back to you now, as you make mention. You make some very valid points, some points that I don't even considered earlier in my career. As I grow, as you know, we read to learn and all of that. But the effort that the JTA has been putting in, I just want to back up on what if that's not what you are saying, you can clarify that. The effort the JTA has put in this reclassification exercise, are you saying it is not enough?
I don't say it's not enough.
Okay.
I'm saying that. All right, and I want to piggyback on a few questions, a few comments made. Right.
Yes, you can.
So I am one who is not believe, and I don't have the idea, and I'm not of the opinion that we should be divided. Divisiveness is what the government want.
True.
So it's a divide and rule strategy that, ancient society have used to conquer. I believe if you're a principal, you're a teacher. If you're a guidance counselor, you're a teacher. A dean of discipline, you're a teacher. What I want to see is the will to represent every single stakeholders. As it stands, we are getting factious and divisive over nothing, because that is what the government want. So, for example, when they are doing their analysis, they start to break up to say, teachers get this, senior teachers get this, guidance counselors get this, principals get this. What I would want to see as a part of the reclassification, just like when you classify the animal kingdoms into different species, that's what I think reclassification is. So I want to know that I have a first degree, I have a master's, I'm paid in accordance to the laws of the land and with persons who are in the public sector with similar qualifications. That is what I think the reclassification should be now.
True.
And it shouldn't be that one band is paid higher because they are in security, or they are in port, or they are in health. Everybody along that wave band should be paid similarly. If that was the case, I don't think we would have had these discrepancies. The second thing I want to look at also is the fact that our JTA, for most part, when it comes down to a salary negotiation, have not addressed the regular classroom teachers, their plight at any significant means. And that is pretty straightforward. But this is what the bargaining power entails. As a negotiator, that is what you want, right? The further up you go, the less people you contend with, the easier you are to convince. So when in 2017, when we 2018, sorry, when we had that special conference at Woolman's and we gave executive power, it was just the general executive, right? The central executive was given authority to vote, to act on behalf of the 24,000 teachers then. What we did today at Michael was to give 600 persons the authority to vote for 28,000 people. You and I know that people are disingenuous at times, right? So,
True.
one vote at that special Congress might be one single vote. It might just be what I believe in. But one vote can be 200 votes because you are representing the views of 200 people, right? The JTA has mechanism in place since COVID, I know, that captures each of its members, even by your peer advice. So there's nothing wrong in sending out a survey to say who says yes, who says no. Your email is at the JTA, your email is at the ministry, and your telephone number for those, your member number, all of those information are logged in at the JTA, and they could do a poll from its membership, its wider membership, to get a more real response to take. As it stands, it looks as if the government is winning. So they are closing in. And if it goes to another special conference, we might hear that people accept. Because deadlines are in place, and once people hear about deadlines and not getting paid, then persons are going to be jittery in their utterances and make probably unjust decisions. I am saying that from where I stand, I have to be calm and collective. I might want to take an offer, I might want to give an offer. But when I go to General Council, I represent the views of those persons in Petersfield, right? So I have a DA that I am the president for. When we meet, like we met before the consultation, and they said, Drummond, we're not taking the offer. Go to Kingston. So when I went to Kingston, it doesn't matter what the government brought before me. They had told me that what they saw, what we read, what we went through, they were not accepting it. So on that premise, we couldn't have accepted. Similarly, what happened today, the delegates said that they're not accepting. So it means, therefore, that we have to activate Plan C. This is where I think the JTA has faltered over the year. So when the people them say, no, we don't want it, we not take it and then vote. When we go back to the drawing table, what do we bring? Right? And that is where I think the Salaries and Conditions of Service Committee, the president, and by the way, the JTA is running a three-prong presidential, right? So it's the president, the immediate past president, and the president-elect, right? If it comes down to a vote to the three of them, it's two out of three. As it stands, and I stand to be corrected, I'm not of the opinion that the president who is pressing for the teachers are getting the support from the other two. Maybe passive, but I'm not getting it. I was in a meeting last Friday, coming from a cricket match in Montego Bay, and I saw where a senior member, a deputy GenSec, issued some real I wouldn't say derogative, but I believe it was unbecoming of him to make such comment. And I typed in the chat that I think it was subtle, disrespectful, and I think he ought to have apologized. And I was taken to task that who was I to ask of that. And it's a simple ask. If you make a comment and it's disrespectful to someone and someone highlighted it, just to say, I think you could have reworded it. I think it would have been best explained that I'm rewording it. Today, another deputy GenSec called teachers idiot because they chose to protest. And I am saying, how dare you call your colleague an idiot? The person who pays you, because once you work at the JTA, it is the teachers who pay. And if idiots are paying you, then I think two things can happen. we're gonna either ask you to leave your job or we're gonna leave the organization. So they can choose.
That's a very, very unfortunate statement.
It was
You're,
very
you're
unfortunate. And it was
blunt,
captured. It was captured and I have the recording. So anytime we ask, I'm gonna play the recording.
and you're saying to me that statement where that member has referred to teachers who strike as idiots, was that a statement made in an open platform
It was made at
or
my in an open platform.
is that so? Are you the only one who captured that argument?
I am not the only one who captured it, but I mean, President Michael, and you can do your survey. I mean,
No,
you're
I'm not
learning.
talking about listening. The capture that I'm talking about is probably on tape.
It was played. It was played. The event was recorded. So I don't know if you have the time to listen through. But
Well,
the member who,
we have to dig
by the way, I
into.
wasn't there. It was sent to me by a member, so I
Okay,
wasn't there
so you
because
never voted, sir?
I had the opportunity of listening, and
You
I
never
said,
voted today,
no man, I never got a
or
chance.
you're not a delegate?
I'm a delegate man. I mean, I've been on general council all long man.
No, 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 Mr. Drummond. Hold on a minute, man. But you. Well, guess what? I understand. You would have voted not to accept anyway.
No, I was most vociferous the last time I went, and I am sure that I'm sure whomever voted to accept today,
Hmm.
they were happy that I wasn't there today.
Is that
Because
so?
let me tell you, everybody know I'm a straight talker. You're gonna like me for me talking, or you're gonna dislike me for me talking. Either way, it doesn't affect me much. As I tell them, um, as someone who believes in Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior,
Hmm.
I, I don't do much outside of the realms. And so when it is my time, I'm of the belief that I cannot extend my day by my life by a day, neither can I shorten it. So I am ready. But I'm making the point though that the persons in this noble organization ought to understand the importance of each individual teacher. It doesn't matter if you are the president, the general secretary, or you're an ordinary member. We must have common courtesy. Our motto says unite and serve. And there can be no unity, there can be no service without unity. And that is something that I am always advocating for. So it doesn't matter when I'm in the group and they are making their, whenever I hear these little utterances, I normally first remind them that the motto says unite and serve. That's all I'm asking. So it doesn't matter whose side you're on. At the end of the day, we're in a democratic organization. If 50 people vote and 26 says yes, it is yes. And you now need to follow those 26. Because if 26 had said no, it would be no. And those who did say yes would have to follow. So it's about common respect and courtesy.
People, do you want to hear more from Mr. Drummond? One of the thing is, one of the thing is, people, I want to say to you, the JTA has been serving our teachers for the longest while. I am a member of the JTA, and many of you, and I'm sure quite a number of teachers are on the program now. We always have our own views of how the JTA really represent. But sir, you make something that I want to get at. I never stop you in the track. But when you make mention, and I'm just gonna say it and you hold your point until I get back because I want to read some more from the chat. When you make mention that the government would have given us an offer, and one of the offer you said that they make principal of grade one school, giving them that offer, move them up to grades, was it
Tier
two,
9, to
three,
tier 9.
to tier nine. You believe that the government has done that because the JTA president is a principal of a grade one school. Hold that point. I'm coming back to you. People. All right. So RNR is saying that teachers deserve the best. Of course, we do. We do. We do. Phil Reed Douglas. Good night. So true, Sir Drummond. and you have made so many things. Sorry that I'm just getting to go to the chat, but it's very difficult for me to break Mr. Jaman in his chat. We can't afford to miss a word, and I don't want him to miss his thoughts either. So RR, please like, then share to all teachers. I was expecting to have a lot more people on the show tonight based on what is that, but I'm sure for those who don't come on, will actually go and watch, like, and also subscribe to the channel. Sharika, I have been disrespected so many times at school, and still I go and ensure those students learn something. Oh my God, man, we deserve to live comfortable. You can't say it any better, Sharika. You really can't say it any better. I stand with you, and I know what it is like. Um, Miss Roma Francis again, Godfrey, you were always outspoken from those days at GC Foster, and I am proud to see how you have continued to stand up for what you believe in. Hey, this man is a hard talker, I'm going to carry him back, I see, but you wait. Aaron again, Sharika, not only you ensure the students learn, you have a passion for your profession, like myself, mechanist. Wow. What a comparison. Philry Douglas, yes, we will. Yes, we will. Not all. We need to stand up together and so on. Again, so you listen to those comments, sir, and what I just ask of you, what you mentioned about just that, I mean, piggybacking on that part of it, you mentioned, as I said, of what you believe the government did for the president, so to speak, which would have, you know, encaptured quite a number of principals in that grade one school. And let me tell you, the truth is, I am a principal of a grade one school. And speaking to you right now, I am not sure where I'm at the scale. I'm not sure how much I will benefit or I'll not. What I am saying is that I try to get information, and that's why people like you, I have to engage you because I learned so much in this little time that you're on. And I said little time, even though the hours has passed. But guess what? The information is so much. And if we should cut this show short, I'm sure many of our viewers would be very unhappy about that. So your comment on the question I asked you, sir. What really and truly is the government gave us the package, or it is the JTA who actually buy for that package?
No, I don't think it's a JTA, but as I said,
Okay.
there are dissidents in the JTA who I suspect, and I'm careful about the word that I use, I suspect
Yes.
might be aligned to the government. And let me tell you why. On our way, I think we had a special conference on the 3rd of February. I'm not sure if that's the day, but I stand corrected.
Yes.
It was a Friday the 3rd, I think. On our way, we left Westmoreland 5 o'clock the morning. Up until 11 o'clock when I was on the phone, we never got a counter offer. As a matter of fact, we never, the government sent us something and the president said she'll wait until she gets it in writing. When she shared it with the general membership, we were forced to call 4 consultations in the 4 educational regions,
Okay.
right? In we had consultations all across. In West, I can tell you, we met at Manning School. The teachers vehemently rejected the offer. So we activated the JTA. The Secretary General, who is very knowledgeable, Dr. Nicely, he uses nice way of coining the word, and we were able to get a special conference. The 3rd of February, as I said, at 11 o'clock, we never got a counter offer. When we reached Kingston at minutes after 9, we were told that the government sent a second offer. Now, remember, I know, we are in a negotiation. How would it be that the government send a second offer without us rejecting the first? So we were met by
Interesting.
some dignitaries from the ministry to say the government sent us an offer this morning or last night and it looks good. Let us go through it first. And I'm saying, listen, my delegate says we have to reject the offer. We were never told of a counter offer, else we would left Westmoreland. On our way up, you told us about a second offer, which we were not aware of. Why should we vote on a second offer? Which, by the way, never came by in writing. Good. So As I said, there are dissidents in the association who is aligned to the government, and it happens either way. And I can use typical examples because I've been in the profession since 2000, and I can tell you, each time the governments, and I mean subsequent governments, PNP, JLP, each time they are in a negotiation and they meet up on roadblock, what they do, they call to their die-hearted who are in the organization, who are in the association to carry them through. And I can tell you, Mr. Ruel Reid is a typical example. Um, the MP who was at Porus, what's his name?
Stuart.
From Manchester.
Stuart.
Stewart is a typical example because they had intentions of joining the government. And so they folded under pressure, under political pressure, and took offers that were counterproductive to teachers. No, and it goes back, Let me ask you. You're at a small school. You're at a small school still,
Yes.
But a lot of these very, very eloquent and articulate former presidents check their history of before and after presidency and look where the movements are. I can tell you 4 that moved from a grade 1 primary school to a grade 4 high school or grade 3 high school.
We don't need to go that route. We understand what you are saying.
So,
But the fact is,
dangling the carrot, and I want to cut you, but dangling the carrot over the rabbit's head, hoping that the rabbit will eat, and at the same time leave the pups behind. Is what the government has, subsequent government has been known for. And as I said, I don't have any empirical evidence, but I suspect that was one of the offers being implemented to induce the president to say, let's just take the offer. Because they had moved the primary principal from band 8 to band 9 overnight without getting a counter offer from the Jamaica Teachers Association. So I believe that is one of the ploy that was used.
Where I believe most of the things that you are saying, and I'm not saying that you're wrong or the way you see it is wrong, but I am not sure that Madam President has been lured that way. I am really not sure. It may look, and based on what you have said, politically, you may correct in the eyes of the viewers and other persons, because she would have been in that position, and so maybe, as you may mention, that many of the past presidents would have gotten their hands greased based on political involvement. And you may mention of some persons and their alignment. I do understand that. But with all of that though, Godfrey, without I can't understand this thing at all. But with all of that, where the packages, and I want to ask you in a little while to look at a particular level, and we want to bring it up. Maybe I can bring it on screen to show where the teachers are and where they will end up in 2024 based on what we are saying. But again, the issue of the president being a principal of a school. I don't remember if we had a JTA president with a hierarchy of a senior teacher or a teacher. Maybe you can help me out there. And maybe we would have a different story talking about how presidents are, how are Greece. Let's say you were the president now as a teacher. You believe that this situation would have happened. You think that maybe the teachers would have been better off, looking better off than us as grade 1 principals, so to speak. I'm turning the coin now, sir. I'm just flipping the coin based on representation.
I would want to I'd want to go back to my presidential speech. We had a presidential debate in 2021.
I read it too,
yes. And I made some utterances then, and they are coming to the fore now, because it's as if I have gotten this vision that this is going to happen. I can't say if I was induced what would have been, but one thing I can tell you, I'm a true patriotic Jamaican, and if my delegates instruct me to do something, it doesn't matter my inclination. I am bounded by the rule of law to carry out the delegate's mandate. To go otherwise is an act of treason. They call it union busting because when your delegate instructs you to do something and you go against the delegate, that's union busting. It means that you have lost the delegates and the delegates have lost faith in you. So we look at it. You want to flip the coin to say if teachers would have been better. I think in some areas we might have been better, and I think in other areas we may be at the same place. Because let me tell you something. In a salary negotiation, and I've been at the salaries and conditions of service committee on 2 occasions.
Okay.
It's contending views. It's contending views. There are persons who are very patriotic to the cause, the JTA teachers, and some who are very patriotic to the government and the country and the political party to which they are assigned. And so when we come to the table, sometimes we don't always agree. And by the way, I'm informed, and I can do some investigation that the current chairman of the Salaries and Condition of Service, who is Paul Adams, has tendered his resignation. I'm not sure if it is a fact, but we can do some research on that. Because of the constant tug of war to get certain items of claim being implemented or to be placed on the list. Now, a part of what we did when I was a part of the Salaries and Conditions of Service was that we sent out questionnaires to our delegates to find out what it is that is most pressing that they want us to press the government for. And then we condense it to maybe 15 or 20 points with which to make representation. The government does not always say yes. But in negotiations, there are two things. You can't be too hard and you can't be too soft. You have to give something to get something. So I would give up a few things to get a few things. Because I understand that those that I give up will not harm the teacher, but those that I get will benefit the teachers more.
True.
You understand? So it is to give up to get. For example, if it is that the government cannot pay or is unable to pay, what could the government offer as non-cash incentive? I remember in the 80s, my aunt, who was the vice principal at Edna Manley, Aunt Phil, we heard about jam homes and bonds and whatever, and lands, prime lands for JTA members. Is it that the government is in a position that they can't pay us $500,000, but they can give us a lot of land? And I mean, for $500,000, I mean, that go towards a payment, and then you make the rest of payment over 12 or 15 years, whatever it is. Can the government give non-cash in terms of dishing out cash? Because I am sure it doesn't matter who in Jamaica, if you make an offer like that to say, listen, I can't pay you $500,000, but I can give you a lot of land. It's 1.5 million I'm going to give you for 750,000. The other 500,000 will be based on what we owe. No teacher will refuse that. You understand?
But so, you think that would have been a very, very lucrative deal, knowing that we have over 20,000 teachers?
And I'm saying not all teachers will want that. But as I'm saying, I'm using another example to say, what are the non-cash?
No, but Mr. Drummond, what you saying? Not all teachers will want that?
I don't know about teachers, because some teachers will want to say, I have my house, I have my land already.
But
what do I want?
Nothing wrong with having an extra. I think if everybody will want another piece of land, you know.
There are thousands of acres, hectares of land that are in the state care. That is not sold, it's unsold, it's unused, it's unsolicited. Right? We take it and we sell it to foreign investors. What
Future
about
plan.
our teachers? What about investing? I'm sure we can find some of these in each parish to say, give that to some teacher, give that to some teacher, right? I'm looking at practical and realistic
Sir,
opportunities.
let me be frank with you. And I'm gonna say this no. That offer that you're talking about, giving land to teachers, it would have been a very, very good one. No, I'm telling you the truth. But based on how I know our teachers, our profession, and our people are in Jamaica, whether we have two pieces of land already with
Still want
houses on
more.
it, we're gonna want more. And the same thing that we are discussing now, where some teachers are disgruntled and some are comfortable. That is the same thing that would have happened. You can't single out and say, all right, you have land and house already, may I give it to the road don't to have. No, because it has to be a deal for everybody.
For everyone, for everyone.
So I
But
do understand, and
I'm
it
looking
would
at
be
I'm looking at private. I'm looking at probably um remember the government says 12 billion, you know. You have 12 billion put aside to pay 12 billion, 12 billion
to play teachers.
to pay teachers. And he said that is put aside in a consolidated fund and cannot be touched
Is that 12
until
is that 12 billion is to pay teachers know what they owe, or 12 million to pay now and through to 2025?
I think that is to pay teachers based on what is owed. That's my understanding from the budget. We won't go back to the negotiating table until April, so it must be those monies that have been owed onto teachers. But I'm just telling you that my thought as a candidate, it was unconventional, and maybe some persons don't see it as I saw it,
Yes.
and maybe that's why I never resonated with a number of the teachers, right? So if the script has been flipped and I was the president at this time, it might be difficult. It might have been even more difficult for our teachers. But one thing I will tell you that I would have stood with my teachers and I would have offered them the very best option when we explore. And I wouldn't have been forced or coerced, and I wouldn't have been induced by any carrot that has been hanging over my head.
Sir Godfrey, let me ask you again. You would have stood, I say, you'd have stand in solidarity, or you stand in defense for your teachers. When you say your teachers, you mean the trained graduate teachers?
I'm talking about teachers, be it principal, vice principal,
I just want to let it clear
because as I
because
said, I don't believe in splintering. You know what I think? One of the things is that you see the government
Mhm.
and whoever is negotiating on the government's behalf, they realize how fickle we are as teachers, and they try to set us against ourselves. Right. So in my campaign, I know it came across as ruthless because I said it's teachers' time and teachers deserve a representative from the teaching profession, from teachers, from the
Yes.
classroom teachers. Person said that I was taking up and I was attacking principals. I'm not in any attack with principals. As a matter of fact, some of my very good friends are principals, and I mean we have very good relationships. But when I tell them, listen to me, I go beat you know, I go beat and teach you know. So if we don't get a few slap on the shoulder, we don't have to just suck it because that's how the whole cookie crumbles. You understand me?
Yes, and
It has nothing to do. It's just that there are some things that I think um, are for some people. And once it is granted unto those persons, then I'm quite comfortable. I represent everybody. You know, I've had persons to say that, why don't we form a classroom teachers association? No, there are too much factions in education. And it is sort of, you know, them said, divided we fall, united we stand. Each time we break it up in a small fraction, the government realize how splintered we are, and they utilize that whenever it comes to salary negotiation.
Mhm.
Omar Davis was very, very good at that, just playing on the emotion to say, but look, I give the principal them that other day, or I give the guidance counter them that, so look, you ask the teacher to get it. Maybe you never get it, but it soon come at you. You understand me? It is a desperate trial. It is. And
Wow.
I listen to our dear finance minister, man, and let me tell you, man, this is a man of words, man. And this is a man of numbers. And when him give you numbers, man,
You
him
have to
bunch
play
it,
with it.
him bunch it and play with your emotion and make people have you off. Because when he said 12 million, I've put aside 12 billion for teachers, and
Just
I'm
put
only
them
giving 600 million to police. How many police officers do we have? How many district constables do we have?
in.
When they divide, the monies that is given for each constable, them taking more than what a diploma teacher is taking home.
Something is really wrong the way we look at our profession. And I say the profession in terms of the teaching profession. Fundamentally, I think something is wrong. Not just we as a teacher of how we look, but the classification of teachers or the classification of education in our country, I believe, need a good fix, need to revamp. And I'm saying that to say because you know what happened, sir? We are the educators and we were expected to drive the country. Hold a second. Damian Hines, I am a teacher overseas watching and hoping to return. The inflation and wage negotiations are not making my case to return a realistic one. 3 million ask will definitely have me packing. So you see, like you know a lot of what the overseas teachers learn. I want to tap into that,
I've had friends in the diaspora in
and I,
England,
and, and
and
I'm gonna ask.
I mean, we have discussions, and you know, I have a friend who teaches in Oman. Oman, he's getting paid in US dollar. Very, very good job. And he said, I just miss my home. He came home for Christmas and he got 7 days, 8 days. He had to leave back, 2 days flight back to Oman. And he said that, listen, if the conditions are better, Bridget, we just finish a pay off one loan. If we can pay off my loan them within the next 2 years and things are right, me coming home. Because let me tell you something, you don't feel more comfortable than when you're in your own bed at your own yard, Bridget. And that is what most of the teachers are saying. We would want to come home, but make it attractive for us. Make it a little bit better than it is, and we'll return.
Damian, let me ask you. You don't have to give us your package right now, but you know what $3 million a year look like for Jamaica. Give me an idea of what you earn per year in the US. We do the math. Just an idea. You don't have to give us anything. You can't just come and tell we say $3 million you'll pack up, you have to tell you why you're staying in the States. All right. So Roma France again, JTA is a president club. They don't take the teacher's interests at heart. Phil Reed Douglas represent all, not some. That is so true. And it was over the years I have heard it, and we have made our pleas that we believe sometimes, sir, the JTA for real negotiate to a point, and when they feel comfortable, they just throw in the towel. I've said it to Mr. Mr. Hall right here, but as you know, when you're not in what would I say now in that position, you may not understand all. You, sir, who have served especially in the negotiation aspect of the JT, and you understand, you would have done so much work because this you're actually aspiring to be the president. So you must have an understanding and you must know how these things are. The neg oh, I'm trying not to say the negotiation again. You're a tough talk, man. Tough, tough, tough talk. I totally respect you, sir. Not just because you talk, but you know, you are knowledgeable. You know what you're talking about. And I'm seeing you're not feeling for the words. You're going straight. There's a little part of this negotiation, and forgive me, but that's the way I call it right now. That the teachers don't need to be so comfortable. Why? There's an aspect of it where I have heard that the teacher will not just stay at this level. He or she can move further based on performances. Some aspect of performance where the teacher can be promoted by the principal. Carry me through that part of it. Let me understand what that is saying.
All right. I'm not sure if we are of the full knowledge of what is happening with the transformation in education. I was at the transformation task force in 2006,
Yes.
that was led by Professor Ray Davis. And I am apprised of what is happening now with the bill, the JTC bill, because that has serious implication for teachers. The aspect of performance-based pay, um, while I've not been totally explained, is something of grave concern. If it is that, because we understand that the new appraisal instrument is very, very subjective.
Yes.
So it is my word against yours and my evidences, because whatever it is, it is based, it's an evidence-based organization. Just about 3 weeks ago, my school was visited by the inspectorate, the educational inspectorate.
Yes.
And when I spoke to the chief inspector, he said that they are not using rating scale again. Right? So they're not giving you very good satisfaction
Answer right.
because it is very demoralizing. One of the things, though, is that we don't want to leave our teachers' performances solely up to our principals, because it can be based on like or dislike. Any aspect of performance-based pay must come with a rubric that will determine my upward mobility, and then I can support it with evidences. It must never be left to the whims and fancies of perception, of people and people's perception. Anytime we start to tread down that path, we are heading down a slippery slope, because then we would have seen in schools where persons have been promoted to the post of senior teachers, the post of heads of department, based on cronyism, friendship, and nepotism. So,
Yeah.
principal, if you speak too much against your chairman or your principal, the position that has been there will be given to somebody else, right? Because of what he or she thinks of you. And so the issue of performance-based pay, what is performance? How will we judge performance? I mean, what levels are we going to use? Right? We have schools that we term as failing school. When we look at a Campion and a Mannings and a Mount Alvernia who gets students that are averaging 90 and above, I mean, what do we need to do to improve those performances, as opposed to people like from Guys Hill who are getting students who are 12 and 15, right? How do we judge those performances? And I'm saying the issue of performance-based pay to take me a tier or two up doesn't cut it. There must be a clear and defined structured way in which I can move. And as it stands, there's no what the principal, the senior teacher from state said, there's no vertical movement, there's lateral movement. So when you exhaust the skill and you can't go anywhere else, how do I climb? I can't leave that to the perception of the principal that, listen to me, you're old enough, let me send him off with a good retirement. It ought not to be left like that. I want to know that there's a rubric that says, do this, do that, and set it in a way that if in the first year I attain those, I can move a tier up.
Okay.
You see? But there, and I speak about that, there are numerous issues, and not just issues, but nuances. I call them nuances in the JTC bill that ought to be explored. Right? Last year, our IPP, Mr. Winston Smith, was at the Public Accounts and Appropriations Committee of Parliament. I mean, going through the bill. And he was peeved by utterances in the bill about teacher and what qualifies us as a teacher. Now, if those issues are not ironed out, right? The criminalization of our teachers who are not registered, with the JTC, and if you register just like your passport and it expires, or when your driver's license expire, you can't drive on the road. I mean, it is
Nonsense. I
nonsense at best.
listen. Let me tell you the truth. Regardless of what people think, when I heard those comments and that proposal, trust me, if that really come to light, trust me, I would ready to pack and go. There are some things, and I'm not going away against being certified or registered. But when you bring criminalization into such an esteemed profession, it brings us down. That's demoralizing for me. And I'm sure if they should have never ever thought about that. And I will not at any time accept those comments at all. But sir, I don't want to go into the JTC bill much more. I'm happy that you put that across because in some pocket, that's one of the thing I've heard people talking about in terms of teachers getting some additional, you know, on their wage. But guess what? I asked Damien to give us an idea of what he earns in the US since he's making such a big bold statement. And he said that my package is over 65K upwards per year now, but many of us willing to take a pay cut. Sir, I'm not classic right now with maths or calculation, but 65,000 US dollars per year now. If we should equate that to Jamaica, it's at near $10 million. Are $10 million based on our scale now? Have we seen any one of us in the profession looking at a $10 million package per year in Jamaica?
Uh, you'd have to
That's
be at tier 11. You have to be at the very top of the scale. Uh, it is. But as I said, it is not about the money, and I can tell you, it's not about the
yes.
money. I've had colleagues who have gone ahead. I've had some very good batchmates who, when I decided that, where I'm going back to the country, I'm going back to help my community, I'm going back to do some work. Then decide that, listen to me, I'm young, I'm going to try. Now is the time to take the risk, and they have gone ahead overseas. They have taken the risk, and they are reaping the rewards now. It reaches a stage where they might be comfortable over there, and they want to come home. But what are they coming home to? What are they coming home to? I mean, the enticement in the education is not attractive. The crime climate is not good. The whole productivity of the country seems suppressed. And so it's not a disincentive for them to come home. No, I would want to see them here because I know their worth. I know their value. But we are not valuing our teachers. I've had a colleague who left here prior to COVID, just about a year before COVID. The year after, when she completed a year, in her second year, she was given the teacher of the county that she worked. She earned an incentive of over 2,000 US per year. You get what I'm saying? And these are just incentives that are given to them and these are teachers who would have worked and worked. I mean, at that time she taught the GSAT student and she had good grades. I mean, she had good command of the students. I mean, it's so heartwarming to work with these colleagues and know that they have gone and they are telling you their story. It
That's
just
true.
it just demoralizes you and make you feel as if you are of no worth. You should have taken the trip with them because all of us could have gone together. The opportunities had arisen, and we just never seized those moments. And that is why I'm saying that the teachers of Jamaica, irrespective of which tier or which band you find yourself is in, you need to be adequately compensated. I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed in a remark that was made in the General Council group Because
Mm.
I've had similar remarks made to me where a colleague was making the point that one of his students says to him, "Sir, what kind of old car this is still a drive after 10 years?" This is a boy who he had to teach to read and write. And the boy said, "What kind of old car this here drive?" And a colleague in the group wrote that, I know it's not anybody's fault why the person is not ambitious and want a new car. And I'm saying that that is so low from someone who sits in such high places to look down, to belittle a colleague because the colleague chooses or cannot afford to buy a new car. The fact that he's able to buy or change his car every time a salary negotiation comes around, it just sends me the message that you might be one of those who are selling us out.
You know, I had a reasoning, and since you mentioned car, it is a saying by many past students about their teachers and even present students. But you know, one of the thing I believe, you know, you sir probably could look at in negotiation in the future. You see that aspect where you have concession to to teachers. I'm saying teachers because it's to teachers, even though there are different levels.
Levels.
I think that concession could have strengthened right across the board to say, listen, teachers working for 5 years straight, your concession will be
X%.
10%.
I made that in my manifesto, that we
So
need to keep
you
motor
should
vehicle
you should
concession.
have drafted me in on your team, man.
And let me tell you, it was persons in the ministry who shut that down,
Wow.
Because let me tell you, persons are of the opinion that they are the ones who must drive the good cars, must live the good lives, and must continue to enjoy the finest things, while the ones who work are the subservient. And I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
Hmm.
And I can tell you, my son, who is now overseas studying,
Yes.
got a scholarship from Michael. What was he going to do? Information technology. His mother is a guidance counselor. His dad is a teacher. And I looked at him and I said, he got a second offer, a half scholarship to the
Hmm.
University of South Carolina. And I sacrificed and sent him. And it's not because I don't want him to teach, it's because of the respect that is
Yes.
placed on teachers in Jamaica. I just thought that he needs to get out of here and get a first world experience. If he so chooses to come back, then it's all on him. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, of
It,
course.
it is, and I felt bad because when I was getting into education, into teaching, I was so enthused. No, this is
Hmm.
a young man who was enthused because his mother the guidance counselor and father the teacher and want to come do some. But I said, listen to me. I'm advising you. Don't go into education. You see why me can't change my car? You see why when your mother changed her,
Wow.
how long it took her? Because these people don't value education. And if we start to put a value on education, I can tell you the whole morale of the country will be lifted. The whole spirit of of voluntarism, the whole spirit of learning is going to be a transformation for Jamaica if we just acknowledge what has happened. The teachers when I was growing up were my role models. I can tell you, Miss Dobson from Unity Primary was my up until 2 weeks ago when I saw her, she is still my role model. And I used to get licked every day. But the value that has been placed on education, the value that has been placed on our police officer, the value that has been placed on our health worker has been eroded totally. And it is based on what the system has created. The system causes it to be where it's at.
John, the big man. You said you have applied for two principal posts. I don't understand. Maybe you never read it. But most persons, and you alluded to certain things to our principal move up the scale who have served. But most persons who are in the hierarchy of the JTA, actually, my belief, and many others believe that too, get these jobs on a platter. How comes you never get one of them jobs? Are you just never ready? You just apply because you want to apply.
I'm someone of good faith, and I believe that when God is ready for me, I will be, and I will be granted the opportunities. But I can tell you, one of the jobs I actually lost, I was, when they came out the interview, um, one of the person on the panel after everything called to say, Drummond, I'm very, very disappointed. You were so impressive. It's a pity that you never completed your end, well, you never did your end cell, because the person who got it had was a part of the aspiring principal, and so I lost out, and I never held. I mean, I never felt any way because I knew that that was one of the criteria that was judged on. That if you are NCL trained, it would be an asset. So I understood. The other one was totally political, totally political. So because of the alignment of the person who got the job, and it just, because when they look at my development plan, because I'd gone into the school on a couple of occasions. I drove in, I did my research, I went into the community, I met with community members, I look at some pressing issues, and then when I put my portfolio, it was, but as I say, if it was not to be. So I mean, here I'm at. I'm comfortable. I'm
Yes,
comfortable. I felt a little bit disappointed because, here is it that I'm telling people not to go overseas, stay here and work. Um, my other half lives overseas and works overseas. My son is overseas. My daughter is here because I chose to have her here because I think a primary education is good for her. The base here where I'm at. And so I've not gone overseas. But all indication is that anytime they keep calling and calling and calling, it means that you need to move. So I'm not making any long-term commitment. When I lost, when I lost when I lost the presidential election, I said this might be one of the reasons. I might be able to pack up. I might have to just pack up and go. But then, for some reason, I think from some divine intervention, divine reasons, I'm here because I've had a number of young teachers who I've had to mentor. Um, my phone rings every day, even though anything in the parish and the regional chair, Norman Allen Clayton Hall, can tell you. Before they call anybody, they call me to say, Drummond, what shall I do? Let me do that. Let me do that. Call somebody. I mean, and this happens like on a weekly occurrence. Incidents in the school, things to do. I mean, and the name that is called. And sometimes, you take a look back and to look forward. But I don't want to be like that. I don't want to look back and then the whole place turn a pillar salt.
so Joman,
I'm looking forward now.
Joman, based on that comment, I have a feeling that you soon leave this place.
I must be honest. I've signed up for two of the programs. One, and let me tell you, one of the programs, the only document that was needed or is still needed is my police record. And I have not gone to it. As a matter of fact, I went to do my police record. When I had gone to do it, they said that to go overseas, you should have taken your passport. I took my driver's license. When I came back, I should have taken my passport. I never took it.
Okay.
And so it is as it is. But as I tell you, I'm actually I'm in no rush to leave. I'm under no pressure. My family is okay. My dad is here. My dad is ailing, so I just try to be around my parents as much as possible.
And that's very important. Eh?
Come on. So
Sir,
I think though that the opportunity that have been afforded to me through education, I have to be thankful. I thought I made the right choice because I mean I've traveled, I've gone to Venezuela, I've gone to Barbados, I've gone to Canada, all because of education. I was a part of the World Federation of Democratic Youth and Students in Caracas, where I got to present a paper and education in the third world. Met a very, very good friend from Trinidad, man. Can't forget. I mean, and we sat together and we look at education, look at the diversity in education. And I was so pleased. I was so pleased that, boy, I can't tell you.
I can tell you, sir. I said the dog them have to eat.
Yeah, man, the dog work hard on it.
You never feed them before you come and sit, sir.
No, man, the dog, them, somebody coming, like somebody coming on here. But say dog, them see, you know. I'm
A
not
good dog
alarmed.
them, of course. I saw RR stay man, then trouble me for my one them. But as I mentioned that RR again said government of Jamaica teachers have to eat. You're so right. And so we want to eat, not just eat, we want to eat better. We want to eat and we want to eat nutritional food, nutritional meals. We don't want to continue to skip and, bob what we're gonna eat for dinner because of what the little money can stretch for. One of the things though, sir, before I move to my last two questions, and I want to say this because it's something that I realize that I have actually found myself in. You alluded to it earlier too. But one of the problems that we have as teachers, financially, is that we have to depend on this institution for loans. How will we get out of that? Sometimes, and let me tell you, I use myself an example. Some of those loans we could have avoided. But I think it was lack of proper planning and budgeting why we end up that way. What can you say in this?
I've always said to my new teachers that listen, it's the first 3 months you work, you're gonna put away 30% of your money, and that is going to be for incidentals, um, because I believe that I never planned properly when I came in the profession, and as a result of that, I'm reaping the rewards of not planning, and so I don't want anybody to fall in that category. But it is a fact. If you go to any of the financial institution in Westmoreland, they know me by name. And not because of my looks, it's because when I need a loan or when I need something, I'm going to go there. The fact of the matter is that you have to motivate yourself to motivate your students. And if you are living less than is, then they are going to look down on you, believe it or not.
You have to be
If you need
comfortable
to
to
drive
get
a
to be
good car,
comfortable. Sir.
if you need to drive a good car to motivate your student that education is important, then you need to get a good car. Because if they see the scammer, see the drugs man driving a good car, those are the ones that they're going to look towards as role models.
Wonderful. Very, very
If you
good
live
statement.
less than the regular man on the street because you're a teacher, they're going to look down on you and say, look at the man we are teach every day, look where him live. So I want to live good too. So I have no choice in paying my loan once, in getting a loan once I'm able to pay. The fact of the matter is that it has reduced my spending power because when you take money to send a boy
Yeah,
to
man.
university overseas, and a little bit of money that. And
For
so
real, for
I
real.
am saying if the government wants education, people to look about education, pay the teachers. Make them drive a good car, make them live in a good house, make people know say that is a teacher when them see them. Them now walk off them shoes heel with 10 bag in their hand. Them have a nice little car drive and comfortable. And that is what we have for starters. We are asking that let us live. Let us get something that is livable. Let us get something that we don't have to be running from one loan to the next. So as one loan done, you go to our next institution to take a next loan. Let us is it one of the wickedest things that we fail to understand? If you ask any teacher, don't care where they live,
Hmm.
they are paying mortgage. If you ask majority of the teacher, don't care what they drive, they are paying a car loan. Not many teachers' salary can buy a car or bill
You're
a
right.
house
You're
or
so
bill a
right.
house. And so we are dependent so much on what these institutions do. And we have to be happy for these financial institutions who sometimes assist us so that our standards of living are elevated to a level that we are granted some amount of respect.
Sir, one last one for you, but I see a bridging just come in. And I want to put this man on the spot. I don't know if he's as brave as the farmer teacher overseas that will talk. Good night, Gibbs, Terry Robinson, my good friend. batchmate from them old days. Good night to all. I am in agreement with a lot that have been said, of course. The Jamaican government can do and should compensate our teachers better. You know, a point to note, teachers all over the world are treated pretty much the same way. That's coming from Gibbs, my brethren, Tariq Robinson. He's a present teacher in Bahamas. Gibbs,
It's a true, it's true. Except for the Scandinavian countries, the Finlands, the Swedens, the Norwegians, who treat their teachers very well. Most teachers, even the US, teachers are paid the lowest. It's just that when we as Jamaican, for us as Jamaican haven't gone there, um, it when we send money back to Jamaica, it equates a lot more. It equates maybe 4 or 5 times what we earn here. But in the US, the reason why they are in short fall is that the teachers have actually, I mean, left their system because of low paying jobs as well. In England, it's the same thing. We
yes.
have people recruiting all over the world because guess what? Their teachers are paid the worst salary among its public sector workers. And so it's no different here. But I'm saying in the Caribbean, if we are leaders, we are trendsetters in the Caribbean, we can't be paying less than Antigua, we can't be paying less than Barbados, we can't be paying less than Bahamas, we can't be paying less than the Cayman Islands or Turks and Caicos. It is just appalling to see how we treat our teachers, and not just the pay and the compensation, but the conditions under which we work. I've always said it, the conditions under which us as teachers work are similar, are the conditions under which the children learn. So it might not like you do you a favor, you're actually doing the students a favor.
No, but you see, the reality of it, sir, you have just hit a very, very good point. The same working conditions are the same learning conditions because we are staying for hours in the classroom. That's where the students are as well. And it sort of mirrors, and I would stand for correction. It sort of mirrors the situation where the budget or the funding that has put in place in
Just
schools.
give me a minute. I'm gonna get my charger. My computer just falling.
No problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know that we are coming to the end of the show, and I'm sure that you have been very much informed and educated by the man Godfrey Drummond. He's a hard talker, as you have heard, but not just hard talk. He knows what he's about. He's very eloquent. He has not been feeling for any words or phrase at all to address us. I hope that all of you who are on the chat, or those who were here, would have experienced a very good night. If you are still here and you have not yet subscribed, please do so right now. Like and share the Saudichress video. And I want to say big up to our sponsors as well. We want to big up our sponsors, the sponsors for the Saudichress show. And of course, prospective sponsors. But Drummond is back in his final lap. Sir, we are nowhere near a settlement, I believe, based on what has been voted. Where do we go from here?
Um, well, the process will continue. I believe that based on the votes today, 346 to 227 against the JTA now will go back. The salary and condition of service now will write back to the Ministry of Finance to express the dissatisfaction of its members and then open another avenue for further discussions and negotiations. If the government so desires, then they can, within 7 to 8 days, send a counteroffer for us to peruse and then make a deliberation as to whether or not the acceptance or rejection. Barring that, I don't see us guaranteeing regularities because, as I said, the teachers have lost confidence of some of the JTA dignitaries, and so what we are seeing that the teachers have taken actions into their own hands. It is wrong. it is wrong, but it is not illegal. Um, but you can tell you that teachers have
No,
the
no,
right to protest.
no, Mr. Drummond.
Teachers
Listen
have
to
the
this.
right to be sick. Teachers have the right to their sick days, their casual days, and so
But they
if
are not sick, sir.
if as someone says to me, a bout of sickness is in the air, and it is catching on in other areas. So as I can tell you today, all the high school except barring Granger High School in Westmoreland were out
We're out.
because
Wow.
of teachers um, not reporting or teachers reporting sick or calling in sick.
I'm gonna laugh over this one, and I want you to help me to tell our members that if we call in sick, if we continue to sick out, the
We are gonna
the medical certificate,
ah,
because
man.
since it is in the same time frame, all of our medical certificate should be the same cause of sickness.
If it is a illness that is known, then it should be a common illness among all members.
Exactly, and of course, you would know we can draft up that illness coming out of the negotiation.
So, but it's a laughable
Yes, that's just
situation.
a point for laugh, though.
But
Not
um,
serious about it.
but I would want to say, I would want to implore our minister to sit with the teachers.
Yes,
As I say, it's not a lot in terms of what is being asked for. If the general consensus is that if we can start our train grads at 3 million per year, that would have been a significant improvement on the offer that was sent. And the other line items that they so desire can be adjusted, but that is the major contention with which most of the train grads, which ironically bear 60%, 60% of the teaching profession. So if you are checking based on my calculation, that's somewhere about 14,000 teachers that are directly affected um, in that band. So it just means that shows a little heart, shows a little reasons why. I mean, just show that the care, show the teachers of Jamaica that you are willing to sit and negotiate. And once you do that, then I should, or I don't want to say I can, but we should see some normality resuming for next week. Bear in mind that the GSAT, well, the PEP exam is around the corner. You would have known how critical it is, based on the learning loss that we would have had during the COVID pandemic, how critically important it is to have our students in front of us for their instructions. Um, School-based assessment is there, and or the assessors are out. So we need all on board. We need to ensure that our students get the best instruction going to these external exams, these exit exams. And so we want to resume with our normal activity as soon as is possible. So just about getting an offer as quickly as possible so that the situation can be resolved.
and I hope so. But in short, what if the 1st of April comes? Is the Minister of Finance and the government has a legal point to say that if we have not agreed by then no monies will be paid out for the next financial year.
It is not beyond the government to do, but it is within his confines that, I mean, the monies can be put in an escrow account and it can be paid at a time that is convenient, when
Okay.
both parties would have deliberated. The minister did indicate that the money is in a consolidated fund.
Hmm.
One thing I can tell you that if it's a public sector reclassification and rationalization, the fact that he would have started paying some sectors of the workforce, it means that the others can be paid at whatever time is possible, based on the fact that they are in a negotiation. So as soon as the negotiation ends and both parties are comfortable, then he can draw down that amount of money and pay. To say that it can't be paid if it is not taken by the 31st of 8th of March this year is an understatement. It's a half truth. It can be paid under special provision. Remember, this is the fifth estimate of expenditure, supplementary. So it means that he can do another supplementary estimate of expenditure to capture that money that was outstanding to the teachers, have the payment made, and then the provisions in there. It is not illegal. It is something that can happen. I've asked from reputable persons that it can happen.
Hmm.
If he so chooses not to pay and the industrial action continues by the teachers, then he has a conscience to live with, to know that we extended the olive branch and you never accepted. And so, if teachers decide to remonstrate and to demonstrate, then it has to do with his not showing any sign of care and compassion for the plight that the teachers are going through. I can tell you, just today at school, a colleague came to me and she says, Drummond, when we have got the money? Because you know how things are now, everything is done electronically. She was called to say that her electricity was disconnected. You know, then I come in your yard again, come plug out the electricity, they must
Yeah,
steal
man,
again.
for real, for real.
It just goes to the conscience to say, listen to me. And she said she had to go because there was some issue with the internet banking. She was waiting to until Friday, but eventually it was disconnected. So she had to leave to go have it rectified and come back. I mean, no teacher should go with the indignity to know that they are going home to darkness, having given time and service to the country and to the children of the country. And so with this in mind, I mean, I'm saying to let good sense prevail and just let us meet each other where we can and just reach an amicable understanding so that the issue of teaching and learning, which we so much love, can continue. I can tell you, Sports Day is in jeopardy if teachers strike. And that is a part of my thing that me love. Yeah, man, me
Reschedule
love.
sports bus.
Yeah, man, me love my sports day, man. And if you ever strike, man, it will affect my sports day. And me might not see me athlete them. There might be a Usain Bolt or a Shelly and Fraser who we are not going to discover. And I want to be the man who discover the next Usain Bolt or Shelly and Fraser because then I can look at a better pension without lodging it to SSL, by the way.
So don't call Usain Bolt name boss. Mr. Drummond, I have to get you back on the show very soon. You know why? It seems like you have another two appearances here in short order. You are a football coach, an administrator, you're a sportsman in general, and the Saudichress show, the Saudichress YouTube TV, actually engage people in sports, entertainment, and education. We have gone 2 hours and we have not even mentioned sports away from what you just mentioned, Godfrey Drummond. So look forward, sir, and I hope you find the time. I hope you find this show not just as welcoming, but one that you will love and hope to participate again.
You know, my son used to my son is a subscriber, so he used to be on the show, to listen. And I mean this show, and I think one with Manning's man, we used to
Yes.
listen the sport thing.
What's your son's name?
Son is Jordan. It's Jordan.
Jordan, big up yourself, And
Yeah,
you
man.
need to at least come in and make a
Well, I'm
chat
going to
with me and
subscribe. I'm going to
identify.
subscribe so that I get the links. So I
Yes,
can,
man,
I
you
can
are to man, most
yeah, man, because
definitely.
and I like the information. I like to share the information so that people can understand.
Trust me,
And
I'm
I
telling you,
mean,
sir.
most
You
of
will
it is
receive.
fact. Quite a few of it is opinionated, but most of it is fact, and it can be researched. I mean,
That's
most
true.
of what I say it is researchable. Yeah, man.
And even though I am sure that our viewers tonight and listeners, because some persons are still at work and only can listen, can't afford to look at the phones. But from time to time we get our feedbacks. And I must tell you, I am sure that your presence here would have brought a lot of development, a whole lot of credibility to the Saudi Chris show. Mr. Jomans, I thank you very much. Thank you for
It was a
accepting and
privilege, man.
presenting to the Saudichress show.
It was a privilege to be on the Saudichress show, man. And I mean, I try to make myself available. I mean, as is necessary to give the information. It's great. It's great to be interviewed, and I just want to thank my good friend Vassal. They give him a hard time, you know. Give Vassal a hard time because he knows that
But Vasil is
I
the
meant
boss.
him well. I meant him well when I spoke to him. But I was batting out the man. The West
Yeah,
Indies
man.
not doing too badly neither.
Hey,
But
listen to me,
sorry.
man. Trust me. I tell you, no, boss. It won't be long from now. I'm gonna call on you again.
Yeah, man,
You
yeah,
know,
man.
me good RR. Me happy RR never ask the question. Probably never pick up who you are. But he's always asking what happened to Reno Football Club.
Oh
But
my
please,
goodness.
I don't want you to go there tonight. I will take you back. Before you go, let me just read the chat for the team so we can hear and hear the last few comments, sir. Tariq was saying that um, teaching in most countries is not enticing to the natives. You're so right, my boss. RR, a CARICOM standard pay rate, the same CXC and degree measured. All right. Mr. Horace, RNR. True, sports day, track and field is mandatory in Jamaica. So, boss, whenever I carry out your same views there. All right, so respect Mr. Drummond, again, coming from RNR, the man them out of Canada. All right, doggy, you soon get your boss out of here. So, again, I mean, what can I say, ladies and gentlemen? You have, for the past 2 hours, Mr. Godfrey Drummond, a hard talker, a man who have served for over 20 years in the education system and still plan to give much, much more. He's still a JTA presidential aspirant. And of course, as I said before, we haven't touched him as a sports administrator and coach. He made mention of his qualifications. So you want a new coaching job? We'll talk about that too. But people, again, thank you very much for stating. Thank you very much for your subscription. Thank you very much for liking and sharing the Saudichress show. This is where we leave you tonight. And I want to say goodbye. Sir Joman, maximum respect, sir. And have yourself a wonderful night. Good night again to everyone. And thank you very much for staying the course with us. This has been the Saudichress show. Ladies and gentlemen, till we see you next time.